And we are back, and felt that should be refined the last video. And of course, these are not inclusive in terms of it's not the whole truth and the whole revelation. There are more coming, and it must be taken bits and pieces, and then the whole revelation then must be put together in a way that fits the Torah. So it's important having this raw, in quote, information from what we have from Revelation, and then the Torah grace, and then the main instructions, so then we can get on with the plan that Yahshua had in mind, and what came from heaven as the first. So then we understand from the camp. Obviously, back in the old days, there were those people, they were set in a certain way in a camp. So there is obviously the shadow picture of what was. It can't be a new teaching in the future. So we understand that the shadow picture must be the same as it was. The point previously was there is going to be people coming from the Goys, that they are not from the line of the original. So you must not make confusion with those people from the outside coming in. And then obviously Ruach HaKodesh then would direct them where they should be at in a camp. So obviously there were areas of the first camp where certain tribes, they were on a certain side, and then the other side, and then north, east, south, and west, and then so on and so forth. There was a specific way they should be at, and those should remain as it was before. No change, because it can't change. So then we understand that the guys from the outside, they must be trained. The previous video was the fact of the priests from the Levites, they would maintain the worship in the Kadosh Kadoshims. They can't be mixed with those outside. So until this delineation is understandable from the first, and then we understand their duties as maintainers of the spiritual line set in Shavuot, that was only for them. No other people on earth can maintain this holy spiritual line. And it was neglected years and years and years and decades and centuries ago. So it is a huge work to be done. So then, refining more, we must understand how it was before during the time of Moses, and precisely do what was back then, and then must be also at this time and in the future. It never changed. The point was making sure there was a delineation from the tribes of the priests, because those were to be involved only with a very special important task to maintain the spiritual line clear and clean, because the lives of the goys, those outside, they are in their hands. This is where the delineation was from the main perimeter of the tabernacle. However, these must match of what was before. It can't be a new design or a new understanding. No, it must be as it was before. The only point was then the guys coming from the outside, untrained, yet Ruach HaKodesh had said, take those people, those specific individuals, and bring them in the camp. So they have to be trained. And then we understand from the tribes of the previous, each tribe, they mean a certain way in the spirit, because they work together as a group, and it's very unique and very particular and very picturesque, a person might say. And those must be maintained as they were before. It can't change. But we must take the steps of formation in terms of having the raw information from the Torah grace, what Yahshua did for the Goys, versus also the Torah vengeance, versus also the main instructions. Those must line up perfectly. It can't be a new teaching, and it can't be a new design, it can't be a new whatsoever would be. It must be what was done before. because they are shadows of what would come in the future. So then the previous videos, they must be refined because they are, in a sense, the main raw information available at the moment. As these 12,000, each of those from each tribe. So we understand then there is a relation of their position in relation to the temple. And they are going to be involved in a certain way regarding with the temple because they are holy. And the main question is, are they going to be the very priests servicing the service in the temple, or are they going to be only the people next to them because they have no sin? The only factor of having no sin whatsoever from the start is related with the priests. So this is the first indicator. Why would have so many people from each tribe having no sin? It's very unusual. Would it not be the first focus being from the tribe of the Levites? But yet it isn't. So it has to have some relation with it, and then Ruach HaKodesh can make this final decision, because the raw information available at the moment is simply the 144,000. And we know for sure because the previous chapters, it's simply a setup of the vengeance to come. And as we understand, every time Yahweh was in the earth, they had to serve Him in a certain way implicitly, because it is His nature. So then at the moment it doesn't show, for instance, the Levites, but it gives us understanding of these people are holy. They were never involved with sin. So it takes some understanding and experience of Ruach HaKodesh in the lives of the saved Hebrew brothers, and tend to decipher what this means. But it can't be any other way as it was before. It must be in line with what it was before. So then we understand that, and then, there it is, the tribe of Levites. So it does state. However, how would this fit with the others? Because the Levites, they were very holy, and they were the people involved in the maintenance of the temple. So this must be refined. So it's coming very clear at the moment. Very, very, very clear. It's even surprising for myself, because there were so many parts of the revelations coming in at once. It was very overwhelming. Came in at once the teaching of Yahshua and the teachings of the Torah instructions, and then the vengeance, and then the grace. It came in at once as a rushing water from heaven, so to speak. It was very overwhelming. So as these then develops, we can understand the steps coming together, lining up. So there was absolutely no change as it was before. There is the tribe of Levi. So as it is, and what it should be in the future, and as what it was in the past, they remain in the same line. That's very positive. So then obviously each of those, they're going to teach the students a certain way in each tribe. So each of those students, besides having their own training, parts of them, they are going to be included in these 12 tribes to maintain the understanding of what they mean in the realm of the Spirit. So it's coming together very nicely, in fact. And what was said before in those videos, those must be refined. Those are kind of a raw information coming in, and revelation at once. It came in very fast. So it has then to place on paper, and then must be refined. So with this understanding, this is what those videos they mean. It's not thus says Yahweh. No, it's simply a sharing. That's why it's a sharing. But it must be refined. So then much more than ever is becoming clearer and clearer. So then whatsoever Moses said to do, then we should be doing at this very present moment, and then we should be doing this also in the future. There was no change. The main topic was, at the very moment the tribe of Levites, they understand what to do with the spiritual line set in Shavuot. Must maintain a spiritual line clear and clean, doing rotation as they used to do before. There was no change. Absolutely no change. And then some of the students, they are going to be part of those tribes to maintain them as they were in the past, because each of those tribes, they have a meaning and they work together as a group. And then obviously some of those students, they're going to be Shilishim, they're going to be sent out with the objective of the relink plus the kingdom to come teaching, and then healings, and then miracles, and then prophecies and wisdom and knowledge, discerning of spirits, and then tongues, interpretation of tongues, and then start making sense. And then Sanhedrins must be put together and they must be trained. It truly start making sense. So please be kind, and when you hear those previous videos, make sure you understand they must be refined. Because those were raw information, it came in at once. It had to be said and placed on paper and evaluated, because it was a lot. But it's becoming more and more refined. That's what makes a whole lot more interesting. But please stay tuned, much more coming up.